With the return of Asajj Ventress rapidly approaching for the Bad Batch Season 3, I thought it'd be fun to go back and rank what I consider to be her top 10 best moments in Star Wars so far. But believe it or not, she's only appeared in 15 out of the 133 episodes of the Clone Wars series, so I'll be taking both canon and Legends content into consideration for my list. Before we get into it, welcome back to my channel. My name is Scotty Holiday, I'm a queer creator and a huge Star Wars nerd, so if you're into either one of those things, please consider liking, subscribing, and following me on social media at Scotty Holiday SW for all my latest Star Wars content. So starting off my list at number 10, I have Ventress's introduction in Star Wars Clone Wars, the 2003 micro-series by Genndy Tartakovsky. This episode serves as not only the first introduction of Asajj Ventress in the Star Wars galaxy, but how she also came under the tutelage of Count Dooku. Ventress proves herself in the Rat-Attack Cauldron fighting pit, defeating every enemy, and then eventually dueling Dooku himself in front of Sidious's hologram. After Ventress proves herself, Sidious tells Dooku,
"You have found a promising disciple."
And I can't help but smile, wondering if this had anything to do with the name of the eventual Clone Wars arc and novel, Dark Disciple. This episode also shows us how Ventress acquired her twin red lightsabers and provided us with her famous line,
"I am Sith."
Next, at number 9, I have her appearance in the 2008 Clone Wars movie, and though the events of the movie aren't in chronological order with the series, they serve as the reintroduction, or canon introduction, of Ventress in Star Wars, her updated design, and incredible voice acting by Nika Futterman. The movie shows Ventress commanding separatist forces against Anakin's 501st clones, making quick work of Ahsoka, and an epic duel against Obi-Wan in an abandoned monastery, even disarming him at one point. This is also the one and only time we see Ventress fight with her split saber connected in its dual-bladed form. I'm gonna lump the Clone Wars Season 1 Episode 16, The Hidden Enemy, in with this entry as well, since it serves as a prequel to the film, showing Ventress's duel with Anakin and Obi-Wan during the Battle of Christophsis. I especially love the scene where Ventress uses her lightsaber to crack the floor, causing the Jedi to fall to the lower level, and her reveal of the massive separatist droid army shortly afterwards. Now at number 8, I've put the Clone Wars Season 3 Episode 2, ARC Troopers. This episode shows the separatist attack on Tipoca City, with Ventress attempting to steal the prime DNA sample of the clone's template in an attempt to halt new clone production for the Kaminoans and the Republic. This is also probably Ventress's most savage episode yet, with the infamous stab and kiss scene where Ventress impales Clone Commander Colt with her lightsaber, then kisses him on the lips as she removes the blade, and her brutal comment to Grievous,
"My dear General, there's nothing you have that I could want."
And it's really because of these two sequences that I have this episode on my list. Coming in at number 7, I have the Clone Wars Season 1 Episode 9, Cloak of Darkness. In this episode, Ventress infiltrates a Republic Venator to free Viceroy Newt Gunray on his way to Coruscant for trial. Aboard the ship, Ventress duels both Jedi Master Luminara Unduli and Ahsoka Tano, eventually escaping with Gunray in the end. Ventress holds her own against both Jedi and does it so maniacally at the same time. She looks truly unhinged in some of the close-up shots, and I really love it. This episode also serves as a final test for Ventress to become Count Dooku's Sith apprentice. I think my favorite moments in the episode are when Ventress calls Ahsoka
Skywalker's filthy, obnoxious little pet,
when she uses her lightsabers to slide down an elevator shaft that felt right out of Jedi Survivor, and her brutal kill of the traitorous Captain Argaius at the end of the episode. Now, the number 6 spot is going to take us back to the 2003 Clone Wars micro-series, but this time, it's for Ventress's duel against Anakin Skywalker on Yavin 4. It's no surprise that this sequence is a highlight for many Star Wars fans, and even though I didn't watch the micro-series until 2023, it was definitely a standout for me as well. These episodes show Anakin pursuing Ventress to Yavin 4, where they duel from across the jungle to the Massassi Temple. Right off the bat, the setting for this duel is amazing because of how much it takes advantage of the environment, from the jungle to the temple to the rain. I love the scenes inside the temple corridors where the only light shown on the characters is from their lightsabers, and the visuals get even better once it begins to rain and you see the tiny detail of the water droplets sizzling and smoking as they hit the lightsaber blades, making this a truly epic duel. So this brings us to the halfway point, and at number 5, I have the team up of Asajj Ventress and Obi-Wan Kenobi. While they're mostly seen fighting against each other throughout the Clone Wars series, Season 4 Episode 22, Revenge, saw them working together in a duel against Maul and Savage Opress. Ventress even lends Obi-Wan one of her lightsabers at the start of the duel, giving us this iconic moment.
I want that back.
That's fine. Red's not my color.
Really, anytime Ventress and Obi-Wan are on screen together, we're treated to some of the best banter and backhanded flirting the series has to offer.
What a lovely sight to wake up to.
Don't flatter yourself, Kenobi. You've never been much to look at, especially now.
Making their unlikely team up in this episode even better, and believe it or not, they actually make a pretty great team, eventually besting the brothers by trapping them inside the ship's hull, escaping together in the cockpit. Coming up at number 4, I have another Ventress team up. In the Clone Wars Season 5 Episode 19, To Catch a Jedi, we see the unlikely team up of Ventress and Ahsoka in the lower levels of Coruscant following Ahsoka's framing of the bombing of the Jedi Temple. At first, Ventress apprehends Ahsoka, hoping to claim her bounty, but as Ahsoka explains her situation and offers to speak to the Jedi Council about getting Ventress a full pardon for her war crimes, Ventress reluctantly agrees. Ahsoka tells her,
I've fallen from my path just as you've fallen from yours. We have a lot more in common than you think.
And over their time together, I think Ventress begins to sympathize with Ahsoka, especially after realizing that Anakin had failed Ahsoka just as Dooku had failed her. My favorite quote comes at the end of the episode though, with Ventress saying,
These are strange times.
And we see Ventress hold up her end of the bargain in the following episode, informing Anakin of Barriss Offee's involvement. Now at the number 3 spot, I have what I'm calling Ventress's Night Sister arc, and I'm kinda cheating since this encompasses Clone Wars Season 3 episodes 12 through 14 and Season 4 episode 19, but it's my ranking so I can do whatever I want. The arc begins with Darth Sidious recognizing Ventress's growing power in the Force, demanding Dooku eliminate her as a test of loyalty, and for me, the standout moment in this sequence is watching an injured Ventress holding her own against Anakin and Obi-Wan, lifting them both in the air by the throats with the Force. It's so sick. This is also the arc that sees Ventress return to Dathomir, where we learn about her backstory and abandonment trauma, first from her family, her first master, her Jedi Master Kai Narek, and most recently, Count Dooku. Not only did this arc give us our first look into Night Sister culture, but introduced us to their leader, the iconic Mother Talzin. These episodes also show Ventress's quest for revenge against Dooku, and after 3 unsuccessful assassination attempts, she goes into hiding, but eventually returns to Dathomir for a final time in Season 4, where she's inducted into Mother Talzin's Night Sister clan. I really love this sequence of the Night Sister baptism ritual, plus for Ventress, it's a moment of belonging, proving that she's no longer alone, even if the moment is fleeting. Shortly after, General Grievous and the droid army arrive, beginning the Battle of Dathomir, and ending with the Night Sister massacre. This battle shows Ventress taking on waves of battle droids with ease, and eventually dueling and defeating Grievous in lightsaber combat. Though in the end, she and Mother Talzin are the only survivors, leaving Ventress all alone once again. It's a really heartbreaking time in Ventress's story, but without these events, Ventress wouldn't be the character we know and love today. Next, at number 2, I have the Clone Wars Season 4 Episode 20, Bounty. This episode follows up with Ventress sometime after the Night Sister massacre, as she reluctantly joins a young Boba Fett and his crew of bounty hunters for a job securing transit of priceless cargo from raiders. Towards the beginning of the episode, inside a Tatooine cantina, Ventress kills a fellow patron simply for hitting on her, and I fucking love it. Midway through the episode, it's revealed to both the audience and Ventress that the precious cargo they're protecting is actually a young girl who was kidnapped from her family to be wed against her will to the leader of her homeworld. The girl pleads with Ventress, saying,
None of this was my choice. I never asked to be ripped away from my home, from my family. You'll never know what it's like.
But as we know, and as Ventress says in her response,
I wish I didn't, but I do.
From here, it seems like Ventress is going to carry out the job, but in the end, we learn that she has a change of heart, instead delivering Boba Fett to the leader inside the crate, letting the girl return to her family in the end. This episode really marked a turning point for Ventress, and it's this change, mixed with the lingering shots of her throughout, that make it one of my favorites, and a truly underrated Clone Wars episode overall. I especially love the final shot where she parts ways with the bounty hunters into the seemingly open galaxy, saying,
Once I was just like you, but I'm not that person anymore. Now, I have a future.
And finally, at number 1, I have the 2015 Star Wars novel, Dark Disciple. Need I say more? I'm sure this choice comes as a surprise to no one. This book not only got me into reading for the first time in my life, but made me fall in love with Ventress as a character. The story really spoke to me and my own experiences and traumas, making me realize that Ventress and I are actually pretty alike. Not only do we see her learn to trust and let others in after dealing with a lifetime of abandonment, but we see her break down her walls and even fall in love, ending with Ventress making the ultimate sacrifice, giving her life to save another, the most selfless act anyone can commit, displaying what I believe are the qualities of a true Jedi. Speaking of her sacrifice, it also serves as the perfect bookend for Ventress' story, since her first chronological appearance in the 2008 Clone Wars series began on Christophsis, and this is also the place where she meets her end. I could go on and on about how much I love this book and how much it means to me, but we'll save that for another time. If you love Asajj Ventress, I can't recommend Dark Disciple enough, and seeing so many Star Wars fans pick it up to experience the story for the first time after her reveal in the Bad Batch Season 3 trailer, plus the fact that she's coming back in the Bad Batch Season 3, has made me so genuinely happy and so excited to see what the future holds for her as a character. So these are my top 10 Asajj Ventress moments in Star Wars. Let me know your thoughts on my ranking and if there were any moments you would include that I didn't in the comments below, or join my Discord to continue the conversation there. Make sure to like, subscribe, and consider following me on social media at Scotty Holiday SW for all my latest Star Wars content. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.